Okay, rising seas poses unthinkable risk to billions around the world, with profound implications for maritime security and international law of the seas. Tell me how and why. Explain this. First step, I want your answer structure, all of you. This is not a generic answer. How sea level change can impact people. Impact people, yes. Okay, cities will submerge. Yes, people will have migrations. Okay, yes, coastal ecosystems will suffer. Fishing resources will be hampered. ठीक है. आपको लिखना है in terms of maritime security. You must write about international laws कैसे impact होंगे, if any. Law of the seas, how will that get impacted? In terms of UNCLOS, what will change if the sea level changes? Yeah, reason, what will change? Baseline will change. Okay, number one. But the baseline need not change. Okay, now this is the debate. When the sea level changes, we do not have any provisions whether to consider the existing baselines or not. Okay, it's possible कि ठीक है, the water has changed. Okay, so this is the baseline. Maybe submergence की वजह से now this has become here, but you can still have this as the baseline, no? Isn't it? आपने demarcate कर रखा है using your methods, but we do not know what will happen. Will we use the same baseline or will we use the new baseline? This is one question mark. So link to this, what will change? Link to this, what will change? अगर baseline same रखोगे, why will the boundaries change? Yes, that is an issue. So baseline measured in terms of the projections के tip से, that might change, but we do not know. Now listen, there are two groups of people in the world. One are those who want to keep the freedom of navigation. Okay, the open seas and the freedom of navigations. और एक है who want a rule-based order and want to adhere to the UNCLOS. What do the freedom of navigation guys want? They want boundaries और छोटा हो जाए, right? So they will want what? Will they want to retain the baseline or will they want to push the baseline? हमें discuss करना है कि ये dispute कैसे बनेगा, right? So those who are favoring में largely Australia है, okay, largely US है, and maybe Canada and Britain. Those have not ratified and signed the UNCLOS yet. Okay, so those who are talking about freedom of the seas, okay, freedom of navigation or freedom of seas, they will want to push the baseline according to sea level rise. Others will want to retain the baseline. This is one issue of conflict. Is all of you here? One. Now, because of this, the status of internal waters will change. The status of territorial waters will change. Now, so this is one. The second big dispute, आप बताओ क्या होगा? ये तो एक हो गया, और बताओ. What do you think is the next dispute? Yeah? और क्या होने वाला है? That's vague. मुझे UNCLOS साथ बताओ. What will the next dispute हो सकता है? तो उसको कैसे लिखोगे आप? अभी क्या है? Listen, अभी क्या है? I have a country here, I have got another country here. We go by median line principle while drawing the EZ. So अगर EZ overlap हो रहा है, they simply go by the median line. When sea level rise happens, we do not know whether the sea level rise is equal on both sides. ठीक है? So imagine if the water submergence is more here, then this median line will shift on this. अगर because symmetrical तो होगा नहीं, definitely. If the water submergence is more on this side, this will shift on this side. Now this becomes an issue of conflict. So जो gain कर रहा होगा, he will say shift the median line. Okay. Those who are not gaining will say no, retain the median line. Is it all of here? So आपको ना यही चीज सोचना है. One is, I said, we might have disputes about the baseline. Okay. Freedom of navigation, freedom of seas countries will push for new baselines. Others will want to preserve the baseline. One issue. Second, countries where the EZ overlaps. Okay. Or countries where the territorial waters overlap. And the basis of demarcation are the median lines. Okay. The status of the median line will be disputed if there's unequal submergence on either side. There'll be unequal submergence on the either side. Is it okay? और बताओ third क्या होगा? What else can be disputes? What else can be disputes? Yeah, fishing. Fishing के बारे में क्या अंक्लॉस में लिखा है कहीं पर? Don't go vague. You're saying fishing. I'm saying question is first tell me about unclos. Unclos related. What will be the dispute? Yes, Soumya, you're right. Submerge islands, absolutely. When the islands get submerged, okay, then who will claim those territorial waters? Okay, and the Pacific Islands, चाहे इतने सारे islands हैं, okay, जब पूरा साफ हो गया, वहाँ लोग ही नहीं रह रहे हैं. Understand this? The people will migrate out. Then who will claim those waters? All of you. Because right now we have got conflicts in South China Sea. Paracel Islands हैं, Scarborough Reefs हैं, Spratlys Islands हैं. Say they get submerged now. Okay. So how do we decide on the claim on those waters? Claim on those waters. Is it? अच्छा, उसके बाद और क्या बताओ? Keep writing down the points, please. ये आपको कोई किताब में नहीं मिलने वाला. ये आपको यही सोचना पड़ेगा. Now, when there's submergence, can we have new channels and passageways? I can have new channels now. How to use those new channels? This will be a big problem in parts of Southeast Asia. जहां पर choke points हैं. Okay, there will be new water channels. There will be new choke points. Okay, new straits बनेंगे वहां पर. What will be the jurisdiction of those straits? In particular, where we have conflicting territorial waters. In particular, where we have conflicting territorial waters. The question here is essentially, will all the baselines and all the waters, the demarcations, will we maintain a status quo or will we have a new list of claims and demands? Will we have status quo or new list of claims and demands? और बताओ क्या होने वाला है? What other issues? बहुत बड़ा एरिया छोड़ रहे हो आप लोग. Yes, वो लास्ट में माइग्रेशन वाला बात में. पहले मुझे बता अंक्लॉस से रिलेटेड क्या होने वाला है. या हाउ विल दैट इम्पैक्ट? यार वो 5 किलोमीटर जमीन पानी के नीचे है, उसमें क्या होने वाला कंफ्लिक्ट? हाउ विल पॉलीमेटालिक नोड्यूल गेट इंपैक्टेड इन टर्म्स ऑफ सी लेवल राइज? आई होप यू नॉट विजुअलाइजिंग कि 100 मीटर बढ़ जाएगा पानी, राइट? या शेल्फ. व्हाट अबाउट इट? द ओपनिंग ऑफ द आर्कटिक ओशन. Okay, right now Arctic Ocean is not governed under the UNCLOS because that is more like permanent ice shelves, ice sheets. Okay, it was almost like we might have to need a new set of laws there. Yes, the Arctic Ocean melting will open up the North Sea route. NSR बोलते हैं उसको. Will open up the North Sea route, the passage through Bering Strait. Okay, the passage through the Arctic Ocean. Okay. The emergence on the Norwegian seaside. The Bering Strait can become the new choke point. The Aleutian Island passages can become the new choke point. That will be an issue of conflict. ठीक है? So UNCLOS वाला यही है 4-5 point. Now come to other issues of security, which are, yes, agreed. We will have problems of your migration issues. Migration issues, खासकर from the island nations and from the coastal cities. What will be the rights of the sea level rise displaced communities? The rise of the sea level rise displaced communities. Because देखो, ये communities का responsibility cannot be that country alone. Because sea level rise is a consequence of all countries put together. So who will bear the cost of rehabilitation? Will bear the cost of the new population shifting out? That will be an issue of conflict, right? Next, yes, next is there'll be conflicts around the financial compensation for coastal dependent communities. Financial compensation on the coastal dependent communities. Caribbean islands, Seychelles, Mauritius. Okay, who will accommodate them and how will we compensate from them? Those issues. One is, imagine this is country India, sea level rise, these people will come inside. They come inside, or inka rehabilitation, who will bear the cost? Second is, ये island अपने आप में पूरा डूब, okay, and they'll lose the livelihood. Who will take them? is another issue of conflicts. Most of them will want to go to the neighboring countries. The Caribbean islands will want US kare unko absorb. The Mediterranean islands will want the European part will absorb them. Think of Crete, think of Cyprus, think of Sardinia, think of Corsica, think of Malta. They will not want to go to Africa, right? They want to go to Europe. What will be the EU's position on that? So island nations ka accommodation, island nations economy, okay, who will compensate for that? इसके अलावा ये सब तो issues of conflicts हैं. इसके अलावा there will be concerns of security related to the ecological issues, such as coral reef का submergence, ecological issue बनेगा. Mangrove submergence, ecological issue बनेगा. ठीक है? Submergence of mangroves, submergence of coral reefs, and how do we compensate for that? So yes, probably loss and damage का जो COP 27 was what? Sharm el-Sheikh पे. Okay, so what is the debate? Okay, conclusion there. So देखो, आप लोग क्या कर रहे हो ना? आप लोग generic refugee crisis बोल रहे हो. आप लोग के generic problem of a displacement. I'm talking in terms of regions. So Pacific Island region, coastal countries as regions, Caribbean island as regions. लिखो आप, write down these points. Pacific Island as region. So you draw the islands of the Pacific. Okay. New Zealand, Fiji, Tonga Islands, Samoa Islands. Okay. Guam as a country. So what happens to those countries? What happens to Caribbean Islands? What happens to large cities along the coast? Bearing two cities, top 10 में, Mexico City and Delhi. Just two countries छोड़ दो आप. All the top 10 countries are along the coast. Okay, top 10 large countries. So Tokyo, Sao Paulo, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata. You have your New York City. Okay, the big ones are all Sao Paulo for that matter. They're all along the coast. So हमें ये examples देके बताना है. Okay, big city submergence. Okay, then examples of sharing the overlapping वाला जो SEs or overlapping वाले जो भी territorial waters हैं. You probably can talk about what will happen in South Asia, what will happen in parts of Southeast Asia. So draw the South China Sea. Okay, this is this here, South China Sea. This is Borneo. This is Borneo Island. Okay, you have the Hainan, Taiwan. Working. Just a minute. Just a minute. It's not working. Something wrong. Chalo, koi baat nahi. Okay, so we have the Kra Peninsula. This is Cambodia. This is China, Hainan. Okay, this is Borneo Islands here, and South China Sea. We have the Spratlys Island, the Scarborough Reef, the Scarborough Reef. This is the Spratlys Islands. So आप ये diagram बना के बताओ आप लोग. Okay, this is Borneo. This is Borneo. यहाँ पर you have got Paracel Islands. So disputes of this. Then you have this, the Fiji Islands, Tonga Islands. Show these places. Naam likhkar. Yes, Paracel Islands. Correct. Tell us about this one. Similarly, you talk about this is your Gulf of Mexico, Trinidad Tobago Islands, Antilles Islands. So, har regions में आप बना के बताना how we will have conflicts. Is it okay, all of you here? So, if I list down now, so sea level rise and submergence. The first box give us some amount of data. How much of sea level rise हो रहा है? Give us some amount of data. Second one, number two, you can have a map on the more of vulnerable areas related to sea level rise. So world map में show us 2-3 places where there is more likelihood of sea level rise impact. The third is one by one. Okay, sea level rise and the impact on UNCLOS. Number one, disputes arising out of base level demarcation. Say something here. Number two, disputes arising out of overlapping maritime boundaries. or overlapping maritime waters. Overlapping maritime waters. Okay, so South Asia example utha lena, South China Sea, and say something there. The third is disputes related to submerging islands. This is more in case of the South Pacific Islands. Who will claim the waters? Who will claim the waters? Okay. The fourth, opening up of the Arctic Ocean, the North Sea route bolte hain. So you have got new shipping passages. You'll have new choke points, new shipping passages, new choke points. Okay. Fifth, okay, issues of compensation and issues of accommodating sea level rise impacted communities. Sea level rise impacted communities. So these are issues of security and international laws. What are the other conflict issues? Number one is coral reef and mangroves ka compensation. Okay. Number two, now you can talk about impact on coastal fisheries, impact on coastal agriculture. Okay, loss and damage. Who will bear this? Loss and damage because of this. Conclusion is that we do not have any global mechanism yet to deal with problems of sea level rise. We do not have any global mechanism, no global treaty to deal with the sea level rise. So आपका जो problem है, okay, आपको जो problem है essentially is taking a topic and doing this work. Okay, इसमें अगर आपके पास points नहीं भी हैं, but अगर headings पता है, you can try something. That's one. And then I said all of this should be on a regional context. Draw the map of South China Sea, draw the map of parts of Caribbean Sea, draw the maps of the South Pacific Ocean, tell us what are the names of the islands and so on. So isko abhi aap साथ at least rough sketches kar lo. You don't have your atlas right now, but you can see this atlas, okay, and quickly jot down something. It's not visible on this. I'll tell the name of the regions. ठीक है. So one is Mediterranean region, Caribbean Sea region, South China Sea ka map. Yeah, that'll be nice. It'll save your time. Caribbean Sea, okay, South China Sea, and the South Pacific Islands. South Pacific Islands. ठीक है? You must show a separate map for the North Sea route to the Arctic Ocean. In fact, uska ek alag section likhna. In the North Sea route, the Arctic Ocean, that is an oil region. Okay, 4 areas have oil in the Arctic Ocean. One is the Barents Sea has oil, the Kara Sea has oil, the Barents Sea, the Kara Sea. Okay, the Beaufort Sea has oil. Beaufort Sea has oil. Beaufort Sea is north of Alaska. Kara Sea is Russia. Kara Sea is Russia. You have conflicts with Norway and Finland. Norway and Finland. You'll also have conflicts at the Barents Sea region. Barents Sea again with Canada. Other side is Canada. Plus the shipping routes and the choke points. So you can make a map of this one. You can use the circular map of the North Pole region. This one here. You can show here. This is the Beaufort Sea, the Laptev Sea, yahan par Barents Sea, you have got Kara Sea here. Okay, this conflicts with these areas yahan par, and this area Barents Sea yahan par hai. So you have got Finland, you have got Norway, you have got Russia. This is the Kara Sea, sorry, Barents Sea. Ye Barents Sea. Barents Sea, you can see Sweden, Finland, Russia, and this is Norway. So Norway, Finland, and Russia ke saath mein we can have conflicts here in this part. Okay, your North Sea route will be like this, from the Bering Sea like this, coming across here and emerging here. So this part will be disputed by Iceland, Norway, and Denmark. Denmark is your Greenland, right? So this area will be area of dispute. आप इसको ऐसे ही बना के दिखाना. There. You show your sea route from here, from Bering Sea, like this. इसके अलावा it also, because of the North Sea opening up, we will have increased conflicts in the Sea of Japan and in the Okhotsk Sea. Let me explain this here. So this is China, Japan. So if I want to use the North Sea route, ये North Sea route यहाँ पर, if I must use the North Sea route, आप ये पूरा बनाएंगे, see what happens. So this is where we have Shanghai. This is where we have Shanghai. This is East China Sea. You have got Sea of Japan here. It's very unlikely that China will go like this. China will want to go like this here. So this can become the new choke point. Okay, the Korean Strait. This will become issues of conflicts. This is Russia, a Sakhalin Island. ये जो passage है यहाँ पर, the Peru's Strait. This becomes a new issue of conflict. And यहाँ पर Kuril Islands यहाँ पर है. Kuril Island dispute between Japan and Russia. So China, Russia, and North Korea ganging up. This route will become now disputed. और यहाँ पर आते ही, the moment you come here, you have the Aleutian Islands here. This is US. Okay, this is Russia, and entering the Bering Sea. Alaska and Russia crossing this one. In fact, both China and Russia have formed a coalition to use the North Sea route. North Sea route अगर use करेंगे, China and Russia will save 20,000 kilometers ka distance. So if I want to reach Europe, right now, China goes all the way like this across the Red Sea into the European areas here. If it goes like this, it will save 20,000 kilometers. So it will laga dega zameen asman, okay, to do whatever it can here. Okay, so we already have a coalition of Russia and China for using the North Sea route. Right, 3-4 points to up. Okay. So North Sea route number one is this includes the Arctic Ocean. This includes the Arctic Ocean. Okay, the Bering Strait and the Norwegian Sea route. The Arctic Ocean, the Bering Strait, and the Norwegian Sea route from East Asia to Europe. From East Asia to Europe. There will be renewed conflicts at the Korean Strait. There will be renewed conflicts at the Korean Straits. Water passages along Kuril Islands. Water passages along Kuril Islands, Aleutian Islands, and Bering Strait. Kuril Islands, Aleutian Islands, and Bering Strait. Next, there will be conflicts. There will be conflicts related to resources of the Arctic Ocean. Conflicts related resources of the Arctic Ocean. Looking at the oil and gas resource of Barents Sea, Kara Sea, and Beaufort Sea. Of Barents Sea, of Kara, K-A-R-A, Kara Sea, and the Beaufort Sea, B-E-A-U-F-O-R-T, Beaufort Sea. Is pe one paragraph. Fine, let's move on then. So conclusion here is there is no surety about. Something is wrong today. There's no surety about because there are no legislations in place. There are no conventions in place to deal with these aspects of changing sea level. These aspects of changing sea level. The next question. Read the question. The AMOC, Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, AMOC, is at its weakest for a millennium. The AMOC is at its weakest for a millennium. Correlate its impact with strong storms. Correlate its impact with strong storms, intense winters, strong storms, intense winters, increased heat waves and droughts, across Europe. So AMOC, how it will impact strong storms, how will it impact the intense winters, and how it impacts heat waves and droughts. AMOC and strong storms, AMOC and intense winters, AMOC, heat waves and droughts. Okay, so one by one. The first is, tell us how will we have and why will we have strong storms? And why will AMOC result in strong storms? How is that? I'm asking you that. You're not wrong, fine. आप area बताएंगे कहां पर होने वाला है? Which area will have this? Less heat will be transported, correct? How and where? North Atlantic की बात करो. So now listen. ठीक है, I think you have the words with you. but I'm not very sure about if you understand the locations. Let me explain this quickly to all of you. Now see, AMOC is what? AMOC is water sinking here, water coming along the floor here. Plus, you also have this water going northwards, this water going southwards. Okay? The southern one is a part of Atlantic meridional circulations. We'll talk about northern hemispherical Atlantic waters. So when this sinking, the main reason yahi par hai. Okay, where you have this as warmer waters, the sinking will become less. The sinking become less, the push down will become less. Plus, okay, this because the contrast is not much. Because ये area warm हो चुका. जब contrast रुक जाएगा, this push will also become less. Okay, so this area will become warm waters, and this warm waters will not get easily transported on this side. So what's happening now is, because this area is warm waters or transport ho nahi raha hai, these areas will have warmer waters. These warm waters will increase the storms. Hurricanes will increase. हाँ ये चल नहीं रहा है, पता नहीं स्क्रीन काम नहीं कर रहा. अभी चलो मैं मैनेज कर रहा हूँ, एक क्लास के बाद देख लेंगे. ठीक है, all of you here. So one is the currents of the surface will become weak. When this becomes weak, okay, this area is warm waters now. This warm waters will generate more cyclones, more hurricanes. That is one. That's one. Second, when this warm water moves here, it carries a lot of heat towards this side. This helps in distributing the heat on this side. But when this stops, these areas are now not getting heat from here. So in the winters, these areas can become very, very cold. Okay? And not just that. When this push is less, then when this push is less, the cold air coming from there will be more. You all imagine here? When the push of this is less, the cold air from the Arctic will become less, will become more. This is typically your polar vortex. Because of this, in the winters, these can have intense storms. So your bomb cyclone and cities as south as Houston. Houston yahan par hai. Last year had a massive heavy snowfall here. So one is, because of this warming, you have got stronger hurricanes. Because of less dissipation of heat towards the northern polar areas, okay, the winters in general will be cooler here. Because there's less energy exchange toward the poles, the polar air will invade more. When the polar air invades more, it can impact the strong winters of the mid latitudes of US and also in Europe. Third, जो मैंने कल बताया आपको, fourth कल बताया, when the polar vortex is weak, the westerly winds moving are also not strong. Okay, remember those anti-cyclones here, they get trapped here. The blocking effect will create heat waves. The blocking effect will create intense heating in the summers. Okay, plus when the polar air comes here, in general, these areas will become drier and droughts. तो आपको ये 4 पॉइंट जानना होगा as a part of AMOC circulation impact, slowing down impact. Fine, write down now please. The first point is yes, blocking, correct, कल बताया मैंने आपको. The first is the slowing down of AMOC is because of less brine rejection of the Norwegian Sea. The Norwegian Sea is becoming warmer. Less brine rejection of the Norwegian Sea. This will weaken the tropics to pole ocean circulations. This will weaken tropics to pole ocean circulations. The consequence of this are, number one, more heat trapped in the tropical waters, less heat transfer towards the poles, more heat trapped in the tropical waters, less heat transfer towards the poles. Tropical waters will be warmer than usual. Marine heat waves. Tropical waters will be warmer than marine heat waves, and therefore, intense hurricanes and tropical storms. Intense hurricanes and tropical storms. Okay? This can impact the either coasts of the Atlantic Ocean. It can impact the either coasts of the Atlantic Ocean. As of now, the more frequent hurricanes are along the US coast. More frequent hurricanes are on the US coast. A weekend upwelling along southwest Europe. Weekend upwelling along southwest Europe and northeast Africa. And northeast Africa can create depressions and storms. Impacting Europe. Depressions and storms impacting Europe. Look at see what I'm saying here. This is your Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer here. Okay. We are seeing more and more activities here. This is the western waters. They become warm and we have hurricanes here. When this push becomes less, even this will become less. When this becomes less, यहाँ पर क्या? You have got Canaries current. Remember Canaries current? यहाँ पर upwelling कम हो जाएगा. Even this water will become warmer. It's possible I will not have hurricanes, but you can always have storms in parts of these areas. The Bay of Biscay, parts of Spain, part of Portugal, this area. This is southwest Europe, northwest Africa. This part can have some amount of cyclone storms. Question आपका इसके बारे में है, ना कि इसके बारे में. तो ये लिखो ठीक है, but come back to Europe in your discussions. That's one. Number two, northwest Africa. Northeast में बोलिया मैंने. Make it northwest. I said southwest Europe. ये क्या लिखा है? Southeast, southwest. Southwest Europe and northwest Africa. Yes, Soumya. Southwest Europe and northwest Africa. That's one. Number two is a weekend poleward transport of heat. Weekend poleward transport of heat can force Arctic air to migrate towards mid-latitudes. Can force Arctic air to migrate towards the mid-latitudes. This has impacted the US. Snowfall in northeastern US. Heavy snowfall in northeastern US and south till as far as Houston. Houston यहाँ पर है. Somewhere here. Okay. This is here, Houston. So the Arctic air यहाँ तक पहुँच के, this area can have heavy snowfall. Similarly, okay, parts of Europe can also be impacted. Okay, so this Arctic air mass can invade parts of Europe. Germany and France have seen this unusually bitter winters in 2022. France and Germany. Unusually bitter winters in France and Germany. So winters can become more severe. Third, okay. Intense winters are also because of weakening of the polar vortex, and invasion of the Arctic air to mid-latitudes. Polar vortex and invasion of the Arctic air towards the polar latitudes. Towards the mid-latitudes. So polar vortex holds the Arctic air in the poles. अब वो weekend होके नीचे आ जाएगा. कल बताया मैंने आपको. The Arctic air will now invade. The next point. Weakening of AMOC, Arctic amplification. Weakening of AMOC, Arctic amplification, and the associated weakening of upper tropospheric westerlies. Can weaken west to east migrations of. Can weaken west to east migration of cyclones and anticyclones. Cyclones and anticyclones because of blocking phenomena. Because of blocking phenomena. So, right further, because of blocking, high pressure anticyclones get trapped. High pressure anticyclones get trapped, okay, creating intense heat waves and droughts. Okay. France has witnessed this in its summers. France, even Britain for that matter. Britain and France have witnessed this in their summers. Temperatures have exceeded 30-35 degrees centigrade. Temperatures have exceeded 30-35 degrees centigrade. This can also lead to droughts. Rajditya, blocking is the consequence of this. Blocking because west towards east movement. कल मैंने पूरा डिटेल बताया था आप लोगों को. Please go back and check. Okay. The west towards east movement becomes weak. Okay. So these high pressure, low pressure, they do not move as much. They get trapped. When they get trapped, the surface high pressure anticyclones also do not move. So when they are there, they cause high pressure, warm conditions, and heat waves. Intense ones can cause forest fires also. Okay? So this question is done. AMOC and its relationship with heat wave, droughts, storms, and so on. The next question. How will you conclude this? Conclusion, keep it towards climate change. These are the consequences of climate change, emissions, global warming. They impact atmosphere circulations. The impact is not just in the tropical areas, also in the mid-latitudes. Therefore, a Paris Agreement, and go on, say something there. Keep the answer towards way forward, conclusion, severity of the problem, and so on. In fact, one big consequence will be the European and the North American droughts ke wajah se, the global food grains supply will be impacted. And that will impact food inflations and other issues of poverty. Ye 3 countries or 4 countries are very important suppliers of food grains for the world. Australia, Russia, Ukraine, Canada. The 4 countries are very important food grain suppliers. So if there are droughts here, the last time hua hai, Australia stopped its exports. Canada, because of its droughts, can stop exports. So wo likh sakte ho aap. Because of droughts, because of heat waves, the grain logistics for the world can be impacted. And consequence. Okay. Now this, I hope you can think through this one. That's the question. Indian Ocean has specific climatic conditions. Indian Ocean has specific climatic conditions. Complex geological sea floor structure with triple junctions. It has complex geological sea floor structure with triple junctions and unique geographic settings. Indian Ocean has specific climatic conditions, complex geological sea floor structure with triple junctions, and unique geographic settings. Explicate, as in explain. Indian Ocean ka uniqueness. Why the uniqueness and with what consequences? Let's take a one by one. So to write about the specific climatic conditions, ab kya likhenge yahan par? Monsoons, reversing winds. What else? IOD, absolutely. Talk about IODs. Okay. What else? Yes, that's one very important aspect of, yes, ek to cyclones hai, correct, fine. Why unique aapko batana hai? Why is the Indian Ocean condition unique batana hai? You'll talk about, unlike other oceans, where the cyclones are along the western waters. In Indian Ocean, the cyclones are more on the eastern waters of Bay of Bengal. देखो आपको ये word unique छोड़ना नहीं है. What are the unique climatic conditions of the Indian Ocean? Number one is monsoons. Okay, monsoons because of, okay, the entire oceans are in the tropical waters. The ITCZ is at 20-25 degrees northern plains. Again, how the winds cross equator and they get modified. Northeast, southwest monsoons. अब बता देंगे one. Number two, you'll talk about the Indian Ocean El Nino. or IOD. Again, because of the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal ka configuration. No other ocean has this type of configuration. Like a Bay of Bengal in general is warmer, Arabian Sea is cooler, but this relationship can reverse. The third I said is unique conditions where Indian Ocean mein, the cyclones are in the eastern waters, which is Bay of Bengal, less on the Arabian Sea. Why? Iska teen reason hai. Bay of Bengal is smaller, so more warmer. Number two, Bay of Bengal receives cyclones from the South China Sea. And number three, it's because of the temperature gradient between the Bay of Bengal margins and central Bay of Bengal. This is India here. So you have got river Kaveri, Krishna, Godavari, Mahanadi, Ganga, Brahmaputra. Okay, then we have this Irrawaddy river, the big rivers here. So what happens is the waters on the margins are relatively fresh water and cooler water. So these are cooler waters, and the Central Indian Bay of Bengal is warm water. Iska jo gradient hai, ye bahut strong gradient hai. Okay, the surface gradient of temperature between the coastal waters along the margins and Central Bay of Bengal. The difference of pressure hai. This creates more of depressions. So three reasons why the Bay of Bengal has more tropical cyclones. A lot of research happening for Mocha cyclone. Why did Mocha? Usme I came across one of the articles here. This gradient of the temperature between the Bay of Bengal coast and Central Bay of Bengal. हो गया आपका climate issue discuss हो गया आपका unique climate here. Okay. To this you may add the impact of the Somali jet stream that also impacts the climate. So that's unique Indian Ocean climate. Now, what about the unique geological seafloor structure with triple junctions? The unique geological seafloor structure with triple junctions. Okay? So Indian Ocean mein kya hai? Indian Ocean is essentially, so this here. So we have one triple junction. Now it is not active at the mouth of Narmada here. And we have one more triple junctions at Djibouti. It's also called as the Afar triple junction, AFAR, Djibouti mein. So this is your Arabian plate triple junction. You have got one arm on this side. One arm is your Rift Valley. One more arm is along the Red Sea. Aapko describe karna, that's all. So we have this as a normal fault yahan par, old normal fault we have here. Yahan par along this is the Mekran coast. This is the Mekran coast. We have a Carlsberg Ridge here. We have Carlsberg Ridge along with a fault here. No trench, but along with a fault here. Plus we have the Central Indian Ocean Ridge, the Chagos Ridge, the Lakshadweep Ridge, the Socotra Seychelles Ridge. Okay, talk about this one here. And talk about, on this side, you have the Sunda Java Trench. So give a list of what are the features. So what this does is, okay, because of these triple junctions, these areas are tectonically potential areas, and also the margins of the Indonesia is also a potential active zone. We have had earthquakes here, tsunamis from here, but this area also has potential earthquake zones. So आपको Indian Ocean का OBR समझा देना पड़ेगा. The triple junctions Afar, triple junction mouth of Narmada Valley, the Carlsberg Ridge and the fault. Talk about the Indian Ocean more and the trench along with the active margins along this side. Okay? This is different from what we have in the Pacific Ocean, different from what we have in the Atlantic Ocean. The third is the unique geographical settings. The unique geographical settings. इसके अंदर में 3-4 points हैं. The first unique setting part is that the northern Indian Ocean almost does not exist. It is entirely confined inside the tropical waters. Northern Indian Ocean doesn't exist. There is no northern gyre. Okay, it's entirely within the tropics, northern part. That's one important setting. The second setting is the Indian Ocean, and it is the conduit passage zone for Africa, for Asia, okay, for Southeast Asia, and also Far East. It's like it's in between. It's in between three continents: Africa, Asia, Australia. And this is the most vital sea route. The most vital sea route. That's one. The third setting is that this is a zone of conflicts, poverty, and geopolitical flashpoints. ये भी setting है. Okay. 5 examples दे दो आप. Zone of conflicts and geopolitical flashpoints. Somalia is a flashpoint. Okay. You have got Yemen and Saudi Arabia as flashpoint, Iran as flashpoint, Pakistan as flashpoint. Okay. As flashpoint. And you also have the parts of Myanmar. These are directly always in conflicts. Plus, this area has a proximity to 2 important drug corridors. One is the Golden Crescent, which is Afghanistan, Iran, Pakistan area यहाँ पर. And on this side, you have got Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos. ठीक है? You talk about the setting. इस setting की वजह से what all we have. So these are concerns of security threats. यही तो है drug trades, opium, poppy farming. This has funded the bulk of terrorism in the world. ठीक है? Its position as a trade pathway conduit, its position as between the continents, its position as the arc of geopolitical instability, its position as the issues of drug trades, the Golden Crescent, and the drug triangle of Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, and Thailand. उसके बाद Indian Ocean is the most convenient gateway for Russia, Central Asia, and China. For Russia, for Central Asia, and China. Okay. ये तीनों के लिए Indian Ocean is a very important warm water region. It's a very important warm water region. So Russia wants to access this from north. China wants to access, and so also Central Asia wants to access. So importance of the Suez Canal, importance of the Chabahar port, importance of the Gwadar port. And you can talk about the development of the Kra Canal. It is the geopolitical setting. Because of this setting, okay, the US compulsion to expand its Pacific influence into the Indian Ocean. Because of this setting, the compulsion of the US to expand its Pacific domain into Indian Ocean. This is what is the rise of the Indo-Pacific. Rise of Indo-Pacific. Okay? One more point. The Indian Ocean is also one of the Indian Ocean littoral rim is also one of the most vulnerable for disasters. Cyclone disasters, earthquake disasters, tsunami disasters. Okay, most vulnerable to climatic disasters or physical disasters. So this region, ऐसा setting ऐसा है that this region has unified concerns of the region, the Indian Ocean region, because of its geographical setting, has unified concerns of conflicts, natural disasters, human trafficking. Okay. And this aggravates because this is one of the largest population littoral belts of the world, Okay, 3 big population regions. One is South Asia, a very large belt of population. ये वाला है. Southeast Asia and Indonesia. Okay. This is a very large belt of population. ठीक है? So Indian Ocean unique in terms of its climatic conditions, unique in terms of its geological reality, and also in terms of its geographical setting. So I'm anticipating this year, you might have a question on Indian Ocean geopolitics. Okay, halaki this is part of political geography, but you can use it whatever you use from here. Okay, let's move on. You can end the answer on BIMSTEC, Indian Ocean Rim, the Coalition for Disaster Resilience Infrastructure. आप उस terms में end करना answer. BIMSTEC, energize that. Okay, Quad is also an important issue. The Middle East Quad and even the other one. Now, question number 4 and question number 5, ये दोनों related हैं. Let's see what you do on this. लिखो question लिखो आप. Impacts from climate change. Impacts from climate change and extreme weather. Impacts from climate change and extreme weather are a reminder of the importance of. The importance of global greenhouse gas emissions reduction. Importance of global greenhouse gas emissions reduction and strong maritime management actions. And strong maritime management actions that support the resilience of ocean ecosystems. That support the resilience of ocean ecosystems. Explain. It's like now that we are having so many problems of climate change, we have so many problems of extreme weather. Therefore, we need to have strong maritime actions for resilient ocean ecosystems. Abhi tak kya tha? The discussion was more on what are the problems. In this question, the discussion is more about what can the solutions be. Itna problems ho raha hai, chalo ab baat karte hain about management. And the next one, the 5th question, wo bhi likh lo aap. The oceans have been repository. The oceans have been the repository of resources and immense significance to human life and development. The oceans have been a repository of resources and immense significance to human life and development. Yet not enough is done. Yet not enough is done to ameliorate the adverse impact. Not enough is done to ameliorate the adverse impact of human activities. The oceans हमारे लिए इतनी important हैं, but we are not doing enough to address the consequence of human activities. So ये भी answer होगा on what should we do? What can our interventions be? How should we manage better? तो अभी तक सारे questions were on what are the impacts? तो आप बताओ इसको आप कैसे लिखेंगे? What can the solutions be? आप कैसे लिखोगे आप? What is the most profound oceans say protocol? क्या है? कौन सा वाला है? UNCLOS. UNCLOS is the most powerful international agreement to deal with problems of the oceans or to deal with the issues of the oceans. ठीक है. अब आपको कहना ये है कि UNCLOS is not sufficient and therefore we must do something more at a global level. ये तो question है ना आपका कि oceans इतने important है and we are not managing well. The oceans are being impacted but not managing well. तो बताओ why not management and what can we do? Yes. So now you must become specific here. So essay answers on oceans. अच्छा, इसके अलावा बताओ, can you give me examples of some more ocean treaties? बता सकते हैं आप? One is UNCLOS. What else? Yeah. Yes. The ocean deep sea mining. ठीक है. MARPOL, very old one. ठीक है. MARPOL. What else? वैसे seabed authority is part of UNCLOS itself. तो थोड़ी अलग थोड़ी उठाएंगे हम. Yeah. UN High Seas Treaty, correct. BBNJ. Yeah, biodiversity beyond national jurisdiction. Yes. The BBNJ. अब उसकी बात करें. What else? We also have Coral Reefs Coalition, right? We have Coral Reefs Coalition. We have tsunami network coalitions. So आपको ये सब पता होना चाहिए. What is this one, Vipul? I have missed this one. It says Clyde Bank Declaration. ये क्या था ये वाला? Oh, green corridors for shipping transition. Okay, Vipul, ठीक है. Okay, fine. Green shipping. So आपको ये लिखना है, okay, that we do not have. So your story starts with, yes, oceans are very important. Yes, oceans are impacted. Yes, we have problems related to ocean warming, coral reef, okay, bleaching, problems of depleting fisheries. We have problems of rising piracy. Okay, one paragraph. Okay, and therefore we need more interventions. Therefore we need more interventions. This is your introduction. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The first point लिखेंगे आप. How UNCLOS is inadequate. How UNCLOS is inadequate. UNCLOS के कौन से सेक्शन में या कौन से पार्ट में we have environment issues. Part 12. Part 12 of UNCLOS deals with environmental issues. ठीक है? Deals with environment issues, and that's largely about coastal pollution. It's largely about coastal pollution and shipping pollution. Coastal and shipping pollution. Okay. It fixes the responsibility on the coastal state and the flag state. Coastal state and the flag state. मतलब जिस कोस्ट में पोल्यूशन हुआ उस कंट्री का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, प्लस जहां की शिप है, ship is coming from Spain, it'll have the flag of the Spain. So Spain becomes liable to deal with the problems of pollution अगर इंडिया के कोस्ट में होता है तो. So both India and Spain have the responsibility. But the fact is, the UNCLOS is more, okay, the UNCLOS is more suggestive, and it cannot force any implementation. It's more suggestive, it cannot force any implementation or take action against violators. It can't force implementation, it cannot take action against violators. It's basically toothless. UNCLOS का main issue है that it tries to settle disputes of maritime boundaries. Okay? Otherwise, the rest is environment wala is almost of no consequence. The following type of environmental problems are not addressed by UNCLOS. The following type of environmental problems not addressed by UNCLOS. Overfishing, waste dumping, marine nuclear waste disposal, overfishing, noise pollution of the oceans because of sonar and all those instruments, plus atmospheric pollution of the waters, and also UNCLOS does not deal with marine warming and marine heat waves. ठीक है? These सारे problems जो हैं, they're all related to human activities, correct? Yes. No, it does not. It does not have any nuclear discharge. In nuclear wastes, कुछ भी हो, okay, it has not covered under the part 12. Part 12 of UNCLOS. Is it all of you here? So we are not doing enough. Yes. Next point. ये तो आपका UNCLOS हो गया. Next is the UNCLOS is also inadequate. The UNCLOS is also inadequate to deal with Arctic Ocean, issues, or to do with the maritime interests around Antarctica. To deal with the maritime interests around Antarctica. Because देखो ये Antarctic waters and Arctic waters, they will have their own set of resources. How do you mine them? Who studies them? Who will explore them? All will become contentious. So ये दोनों question का यही issue है, that we are not dealing with these problems. Right, next. Some of the initiatives, Antarctic Treaty है, Ankit, about the Antarctica continent, but not much about the Antarctic waters, उसका resources पे, और Antarctic Treaty में भी वो 4-5 countries ने अपना बांट लिया है, right? One of the largest territories in Antarctica is with Argentina. The others have not been consulted here. So what stops India from having a stake? What stops China from having a stake? Okay, Australia, okay, Chile, Argentina, the US, ये आपस में बांट चुके हैं. So that's not actually a treaty at the global level. Okay, the same thing applies even for the Arctic Ocean. Now, of course, we have an Arctic Ocean coalition भी है, Okay, they're taking it up now slowly. So that's about this one. Next is some of the treaties and agreements, some of the treaties and agreements that are trying to address the ocean issues, are, number one is the Mangrove Coalition. ये आपका अभी launch हुआ आपका, the Mangrove Coalition. Number two is the World Coral Reef Coalition. The World Coral Reef Coalition. Third is the Pacific and Indian Ocean Network for Tsunami Tracking. The Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean Network for Tsunami Tracking. The fourth is okay, the World Meteorological Network. The World Meteorological Network to track and forecast tropical cyclones of the world. To track and forecast tropical cyclones of the world. ये initiatives हैं, but then these initiatives are still very early initiatives. ये सब last 2-3 साल के अंदर में हो रहा है. Okay, not really at a mature phase as of now. Right. Next लिखो आप. Some of the more urgent initiatives required are, some of the most urgent initiatives that are required are, number one, okay, to set up a mechanism to monitor and address concerns related to marine heat waves. It said that in the global warming, 90% of excess heat is absorbed by the oceans. जो आपका एक्स्ट्रा ग्लोबल वार्मिंग जो भी absorb होता है, 90% absorb हो रहा है oceans में. Okay, because of which, right on this point here, because of global warming, 90% of the excess heat of the atmosphere is absorbed by the oceans. This has resulted in rapid melting of sea ice. Sea ice क्या होता है? Those ice shelves of Arctic and Antarctic को बोलते हैं sea ice. Melting of sea ice. If you know a bit about the melting of the Thwaites Glacier, okay, so अगर this is Antarctica like this, Antarctica here. This is the West Antarctic ice shelf. Somewhere here, okay, there is a glacier called as Thwaites Glacier. इसको Doomsday Glacier भी बोलते हैं. It's also called as the Doomsday Glacier. It's melting very fast, and if this melts, the melting of Antarctica will be at least 15 to 20 times faster. इसलिए बोलते हैं इसको Doomsday Glacier. It's like a trigger thing, and it is melting fast. So what all do we need? We need a coalition, or we need some mechanism, okay, to deal with marine warming, marine heat waves, to deal with rapid melting of the sea ice, and address concerns like those because of melting of the Thwaites Glacier. So ये diagram बना के show Thwaites Glacier. That's one problem. The second problem is, okay, dealing with a change in okay, ocean water conditions, and therefore changes in macroalgal profiles. This is essentially the algae are replacing the coral reefs. It's also called as bad algae replacing the good algae. Bad algae replacing the good algae. The macroalgal blooms हैं, they can choke the waters for the coral reefs. The change in ocean water chemistry, we must deal with that. Okay. Third, dealing with coastal submergence an island submergence, dealing with coastal submergence, an island submergence, and the associated migrations and displacements, and the associated migrations and displacements. दोबारा आप questions पढ़ें if it makes sense now. कि oceans are very important, but we are not doing enough. Discuss. Oceans are facing problems of climate change. Therefore, we need strong maritime actions to deal with the greenhouse and open ocean ecosystems. So I believe this write-up of yours and combine this with our answer number 1 का discussion. आपको बता दिया था maps में Caribbean Sea, the Pacific Islands, the South China Sea. You can draw north, say Arctic Ocean. You have got Antarctica. ये please एक page में drawing करके बना के रख लें. It's not a big time work. It's a matter of only 15 very crude sketches, but done neatly. You'll 100% have a question around these areas. और इसको कहीं भी डाल देना आप लोग. Environment problems, problems of ocean water, marine issues, problems of coalitions, whatever. And इसी tone में करना. Okay, that we need a more, say global, we need a more concerted efforts, we need a more urgency in dealing with these problems. Okay, oceans are absorbing 90% of the additional. Okay, this is done. The next one. Now, I will want you to tell me what this means. The question likho. Question likho. A distribution of fresh water in the upper ocean, distribution of fresh water in the upper ocean can be studied by examining distribution of fresh water in the upper ocean can be studied by examining salinity budget. By examining salinity budget. Illustrate with examples. Illustrate with examples. 2-3 बार पढ़ो and tell me what this means. Anybody? मुझे sentence को rephrase करके बताओ. Distribution of fresh water in the upper ocean can be studied by examining salinity. Yes, the question is why? Yes, Ankit. Yes. Okay. Mrugaj, but why? The question is saying, if you want to know where fresh water is being added or not added, how much is being added or removed, you can know this by studying the salinity patterns. Why? For example, ho gaya. If I study salinity patterns, I will know how fresh water is added or not added. Emo kahan hai? Abhi bas samajh nahi pa rahe ho question. No, no, none of you. Yes. Which water is, or which areas have more water addition or removal? Question is why? दोबारा क्वेश्चन सुनो मेरी तरफ से. I want to know. These are those tests. Mechanical question तो आप कर दोगे, मुझे पता है, और करना भी चाहिए. But the moment I twist the question with a different set of words, you all become trapped. मुझे पढ़ना है कि पानी कहाँ ऐड हो रहा है, नहीं ऐड हो रहा है, कहाँ पर कितना ऐड हो रहा है, वो ऐड होने का रीजन. Okay, if I want to study that, I must study the salinity patterns. Okay, I repeat. Distribution of fresh water in the upper ocean, upper layers में. Okay, कितना पानी ऐड हो रहा है, okay, कितना पानी ऐड हो रहा है, कितना रिमूव हो रहा है, कहां से पानी आ रहा है, रिवर से आ रहा है या ग्लेशियर से आ रहा है या रेनफॉल से आ रहा है. I can know it if I study the salts, because now listen, because the total salts of the oceans don't change. The salt content है oceans का absolute terms में it's fixed. That is a property of the oceans. Go back and see your notes, you have done that. So अगर variations है salinity में, it is not because of salts, it's because of the degree of dilution of the waters. That's all. Okay. I must study how much water added where. So salinity, essentially what it's saying is, salinity is a function of salts dissolved and the water as the solvent. This is what is salinity. Because salt dissolves does not vary appreciably. This is one of the conservation principles we have about the oceans. The total salts almost remain constant. The land is not the major source of the salts. Rivers, they are not the main source of salts. The main source of salts are volcanism. The main source of salts are degassing processes. The main source of salts are the ocean waters interacting with the rocks underneath. So more or less, the salt amount constant है. तो अगर मैं पढ़ता हूँ salinity, I can know about how much is water being added or removed. आप ये समझाओगे with examples. Why does Persian Gulf have less salinity? Because of two rivers. Why does Baltic Sea has less salinity? Because of freshwater addition from the melting ice and glaciers. Why do equatorial areas have less salinity? Because of rainfall and even upwelling of waters there. Why do we have more salinity in parts of the Red Sea? Because it is more evaporation and no water is being added. ये तो लिखना है आपको और क्या करना है? Okay, so the question is simply because the absolute amount of salts remains constant. This is one of the principles of salts distribution in the oceans. इसको why मत पूछो. Go back and see your notes. We have all done all of that. Okay. अब बताओ, while studying difference of salinity, I can explain it on the basis of degrees of dilution. All of you, let's say if I list down this answer, okay, if I say, so we say salinity patterns bolo, or call this as the salinity budget. Okay, this is the function of two things. One is the amount of salts added and the amount of salts removed. And the second is, it is the dilution factor. It's about the fresh water added, or it's about the fresh water removed. You remove fresh water primarily by evaporation. You add fresh water by rains. You add fresh water by rivers. You add fresh water by melting ice and snow. And we are saying that ये जो amount है, this is constant. The principle of salts conservation हमारा ये constant है. So if I want to know this, I must study this. That's all. No issues. आप example दोगे from different. So start the answer with this discussion. This is the principles of ocean salinity conservation. Okay, that the total salts of the oceans are constant. We have seen that the most representative salinity of the oceans is 34.5 or 35 parts per thousand. You can have a table. The ratio of salts also remains the constant. Okay, chlorine accounts for 55% of all. लिखो आप, right on, forgotten these points. आपको ये सब चीज रिवाइज करने में should not take you 1 or 2 days. Okay, and revise it through the answers we are giving plus your notes. उतना ही रखो आप अभी. Okay, so point number 1, salinity or the salt budget. Salinity or the salt budget of the oceans is constant. This is the principles of salts conservation. The principles of salt conservation of the oceans. One. Number 2, the ratio of the salts of the major salts is also constant. The ratios of the major salts is also constant. Okay, so NaCl is approximately about 78%. NaCl about 78%. Okay, sodium chloride, magnesium, next is magnesium chloride, magnesium sulfate, and calcium sulfate. Okay, in totality is about 23%. Is about 23%. Oh, 10, 10, 4, 11, 11, 4, as a break. The ratios are constant. Next, chlorine accounts for 55% of all salts radicals, and this is also constant. Chlorine accounts for 55% of all salt radicals. What we're saying is that the solute concentration, the amount of solute, the salts, the amount of solute, SOLUTE, or the salts in the oceans are constant. Next is one fact. The second fact is The surface water does not readily mix with the bottom waters. The surface water does not readily mix with the bottom waters. Why? Because of thermocline. आपका thermocline है, remember? Okay, you have the surface waters. There is a thermocline. 500 मीटर से 1000 मीटर तक ये आपका deep waters हैं and the bottom waters हैं. So this is like that layer that inhibits mixing of the waters. So ये layer इससे mix नहीं होता है, ठीक है? Which means what? The second fact. The third fact is this means whatever variations of salinity we may have in the surface water, whatever variations of salinity we may have in the surface water is the consequence of degree of dilution. The consequence of degree of dilution. Would I say addition of water or removal of water? Addition of water or removal of water. Addition of water by rainfall, by rivers, by melting ice and glaciers. Addition by rainfall, by rivers, by melting ice and glaciers. And removal because of evaporation. Therefore, okay, ab sentence samajh mein aa raha hai? Therefore, okay, the distribution of fresh water in the upper ocean. Therefore, the distribution of fresh water in the upper ocean can be studied by examining salinity patterns of the surface water. By examining the salinity patterns of the surface water. Pakda do 6 examples. Low salinity of Persian Gulf, low salinity of Black Sea, low salinity of Baltic Sea, low salinity of equatorial waters. Equator has upwelling. And high salinity of Red Sea, high salinity of Mediterranean Sea because of evaporation. Then end mein keh dena that if the water mixing is impacted because of change in rainfall rhythms, sea level rise, okay, melting glaciers, जो हो रहा है global warming की वजह से, all of that can impact salinity. Salinity का मतलब क्या है? Ratio हुआ ना, salts per water. Okay, तो salts amount impact नहीं कर रहा है, वो ratio impact कर रहा है. That's what is the salt budget. I hope you got the question, all of you now. Okay, so AMOC वेमॉक कुछ नहीं आने वाला, सीधा सा question पूछ रहा है. Discuss patterns of salinity and its cause. That's all. So spend some time, you know. पूरे पेपर में ऐसा 2-3 सवाल ही होगा और यही 2-3 सवाल इज गेम चेंजर. रिमेंबर दिस. रेस्ट आर रेगुलर क्वेश्चंस. रेगुलर क्वेश्चन में सबके मार्क्स सेम आते हैं. आपको 12, किसी को 13, किसी को 11 हाफ, वही रहेगा. तो गेम चेंजर वाले क्वेश्चंस होते हैं, किसी को 2, 3, 4, किसी को 18. चेंज द गेम हियर. ठीक है, ऑल ऑफ यू. नाउ टेल मी एनी अदर क्वेश्चन और टॉपिक यू वांट मी टू डिस्कस इन ओशनोग्राफी. I'm not carrying my syllabus right now. Ocean warming, you must look up, okay, your coral reefs. ये favorite question है. Ocean bottom relief पूछ चुका है. The only topic not asked is Arctic ocean relief because melting हो रहा है. So please look that up. आपको मिल गया model answers. Any topic you want me to discuss? Water mass. Okay, Soumya, but water mass is there now a regular फाउंडेशन टॉपिक. उसमें कुछ खास नहीं पूछने वाला. What are water masses? How are they formed? Okay, Soumya, my suggestion to all of you, those who have done the course 3-4 years ago, and those who have not been my student, please buy the geography notes that I'm giving you. वो 3 booklets हैं, उससे कर लो update. ठीक है, because it's possible the topics covered before 3-4 years are not the same topics today. Okay, fine. I can take up some conversations on water mass, marine heat waves. Fine. ठीक है. Marine heat waves पे एक आंसर है आपके पास already. आप वो लिस्ट देखो, उसमें आंसर बना हुआ है. No, 21 students need not buy. The older ones, 2018 वाले हैं, some of them are 2017 or 19 वाले. You must buy it. Soumya from the office. Talk to the office, they'll supply you that. How many pages are in the booklet? मतलब मैं समझा नहीं, पूजा. Oh, the book का कितना size है? 3 booklets हैं, पूजा. 22 also don't buy. This year, last year, and 21. But before those, you must buy. Please do. Okay, अभी कर लो ना. Before mains का मतलब क्या है? Okay, अभी तो बिफोर मेंस है और कितना देर वेट करोगे अंकित? Vipul, revise all of that. See, you don't understand one point, all of you here. What I'm teaching you right now, I'm keeping the mains exam in mind. What are the possible questions? I'm teaching those. What I think are more important this year. So आप both revise करो ही करो, whatever you have earlier. But your priority should be these questions. These 6-7 questions per class, plus the 16 practice questions I'm giving you, plus the additional ones I'm giving. इतना काफी है, बहुत answers है. इतना कर लोगे तो बाकी भी revise हो जाएगा. Maritime zones. अरे, you have got your baseline. You have your territorial waters, the contiguous zone, the EEZs and the open waters. Okay. ये है horizontal. Verticals में you have the epipelagic zone, the mesopelagic zone. That you have your bathypelagic and hedal-pelagic. Nimisha, you can. If you want to, you can. एक बार देख लो ना, if you can have a look, you decide. Abhishek, maritime zones, there are two schemes. One is the maritime zones on the basis of the UNCLOS, maritime zones. Basically, आप लोग सब मरे पड़े हो previous year's questions में, ठीक है? And it's troubling you. Now, in terms of maritime ecosystems अगर लेके चलें, then there are two types of water. There are neritic waters and there are open pelagic waters. Okay, maritime waters and open pelagic waters. Then the pelagic waters का zonation है the first 200 meters. Then we have the 1000 meters. We have 4000 meters and below. The upper 200 meters is the epipelagic waters. This is the mesopelagic waters. This is the pelagic waters, and this is the bathypelagic. This one here is bathypelagic waters. Okay. The third scheme, on the basis of UNCLOS, we have got internal waters, we have the baseline, we have the territorial waters up to 12 nautical miles, we have the contiguous zone, another 12 nautical miles, और यहाँ से लेकर 200 तक we have the EEZ. That's all. Abhishek, anybody else, any questions you want me to discuss? क्या डाउट है, बताओ. मैं पूरा तो पढ़ाने वाला हूं नहीं. ओशन डिपॉजिट्स का मैप. ओशन, सो आपको प्रिंसिपल्स पता होना चाहिए. Okay, listen all of you. Ocean deposits का मैप का प्रिंसिपल क्या है? Principle is, number one, the coastal areas will have terrigenous deposits if there is a continental shelf. ये पहला प्रिंसिपल. जहां पर शेल्फ नहीं है, think of Peru coast, think of the Californian coast, think of the West Canadian coast. वहां पर terrigenous नहीं होगा. That's one. The second is at the continental rise regions, you'll have terrigenous muds. Okay, further away you'll have terrigenous muds. The muds because of the turbidity currents. The process is called as bulk emplacement process. एक साथ एक dump हो जाता है वहां पर. ठीक है? The third principle, open waters and shallow waters. Open and shallow waters. Okay. Shallow waters generally the depth within 2000 meters. You will have more of pteropods because pteropods have very high amount of calcium content. ये नीचे जाके dissolve हो जाएंगे. So shallow waters, okay, within a depth of 2000 meters, you'll have pteropods along the say ridges, along the edge of continents, and so on. Okay? The fourth one, open waters and deeper waters, but within the 4000 meters we will have more of Globigerina because 4000 meters is carbonate compensation depth. इसके नीचे नहीं मिलेगा. तो जहां पर भी waters are deeper than 4000 meters, we will not have Globigerina, such as the deep Pacific Ocean, the deeper parts of द इंडियन ओशन, ठीक है, सेंट्रल पैसिफिक बहुत डीप है, नॉर्थ ईस्ट पैसिफिक बहुत डीप है, so deeper parts beyond this we will not have globigerina. And the fifth is that globigerina is the most wide spread of deposits. It is the most widespread of deposits. The sixth principle is wherever we have upwelling, the equatorial belt हो गया, the eastern tropical water, जहां पर भी upwelling है, those areas will have silicaceous deposits. Wherever upwelling, we will have silicaceous deposits, because water in general, okay, otherwise is unsaturated with respect to, sorry, it is saturated with respect to silicaceous deposits. जहां पर upwelling हो रहा है, वहां पर silicaceous accumulate हो सकता है. The seventh point, the deepest parts of the oceans will have red clay. तो अगर ये 7 प्रिंसिपल्स याद हैं, तो बना लो मैप अब. Along the margins, along the mores, so ये वाला पॉइंट जो है, shallow water बताया ना, ये कहां पर है? Along the mores, okay, along the islands जहां पर है, वो सारे में you will have, okay, pteropods. Okay, anybody else? ठीक है, चलो then.